All right. Here we go, guys and gals. And boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, drivers.
Welcome back to the Loose Wheel Show, Season 3, Episode 31. I'm here, as always. Mr. Perfect Attendance is here. That's still me. Uh, Ethan, however, is not here. He's all this week busy, quote unquote, uh, allegedly. He was at the beach today. Did not catch any fish, so I'm gonna call him out for that. He's kind of a fraud. Like do something cool out the beach, like catch a fish, you know? Anyway, in Ethan's place, I have decided to bring on one of my best friends for my entire life. He goes to the known school of Abilene Christian University in Texas. He has been was part of the committee last year that decided the Nigel Awards for the committee's perspective, not Ethan and I's perspective, because we're our own two people. It is Mr. Zach Simmons, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo, what's good? Happy to be here.
So yeah, he's gonna talk about Formula One because he knows wheel. Um,
Hypothetically.
well, you do know wheel. We'll get to that when we get to the pick points here. Anyway,
And now for last week's race reviews.
Iowa happened for NASCAR to start the reviews here. Sam Mayer won the Xfinity race, but for a big show, Cup Series on going into stage one, Chase Briscoe was on pole for the like sixth or seventh time this year. Welcome back 2003 Ryan Newman or whatever year he was that he got 8 poles or something like that. But William Byron got the lead right away. Brad Keselowski got the lead in a 42 lap quote unquote battle between the two drivers. The reason I say that, Zach, is because I'll talk about the next gen car later. But the next gen car sucks. So it was a battle, but they weren't really racing. So we'll get to that later. Brad wins stage one. Stage two, Briscoe's first off the yellow flag pit stops. Preece and Bowman were speeding. Briscoe leads for green flag stops begin to happen with Keselowski leading. Shane Van Gisbergen spins mid-cycle. Top 16 had yet to pit, including Keselowski and Briscoe. Blaney gets the lead at the yellow flag pit stops. Then you had Cody Ware spin. Most cars who had pitted under green pit under this second caution because they fell lap down and used the wave around to get back on the first caution. Blaney and then Keselowski lead. Gillen gets loose and spins the 10 car of Ty Dillon. Brad Keselowski leads. Carson Hocevar spins, and then Brad Keselowski goes on to win stage two. Stage three, Brad Keselowski leads. Denny Hamlin spins, a few pit. Zane Smith spins, a few cars pit, including Keselowski. Blaney inherits the lead. John Hunter Nemechek just hits the Bubba Wallace into the wall. Then, when you get going, Eric Jones spins. Some cars pit, including Ryan Blaney, who was leading at that point. Then Austin Cindric inherits the lead. And then followed that up by Bell and Reddick spinning after contact from Chase Briscoe, who got loose. Some cars pit. Shane Van Gisbergen spins again. Cindric leads a group down pit road. Chase Elliott then inherits the lead from Cindric. Byron gets the lead, passing Elliott. Ty Dillon spins again. Then Todd Gillen's side window comes off. That brings a caution. Some pit. And then I thought maybe we might have a fuel race here because Byron was trying to stretch fuel. And Byron run easily. I give this race a 3 out of 10. Just not very good. Like, there was a lot of stuff happening, but it wasn't interesting stuff. It's like another single car caution. another single car caution. We had all the 37 cars finish the race. Like, the wrecks weren't even exciting enough to take anyone out. It's like there was no benefit to the wrecks. And here's the thing, Zach, is that the thing about the next gen car, and Ethan, when he's here, he's heard me complain about this a little bit, but not as much as I will today. The next gen car just flat out is terrible at short tracks and road courses. And the thing is that NASCAR, when designing this Generation 7 next gen car, decided we want this to be good on the short tracks, road courses, and have be kind of okay on the medium tracks, your cookie cutters. So, at, but it's turned out, Zach, is that they've made a car that sucks at the road courses. You can't pass there. So road courses have been worse than the next gen car. Same thing with the short tracks. They've taken a huge step backwards. Uh, super speedways, uh, with this next gen car has gotten a little bit worse, but not that much worse. And then the cookie cutters, which were kind of designed to have it be a step back because that's not what fans liked at the time, have gotten better, but they're still cookie cutters, and they're the fans' kind of the least favorite track, including myself. I'm not a big cookie cutter guy. Your Kansas, Las Vegas, tracks like those. I those like those have gotten a little bit better, but the trade-off is just not even close to being good if you just took a cookie cutter and a short track. It's not very good. The problem is these cars are so slow that you cannot pass because everyone's going the same speed. It's it's a product. Oh, you say, oh, everyone's racing close. This is good racing. Well, not necessarily because no one can pass. That's why they're close. You see cars just like multiple times this year, you think, oh, we might have a fuel race. And no one runs out because you can save so much in this car while running half throttle, and no one can pass you because the car is so bad and dirty air, you cannot pass. Like, I'm not an engineer by any means, but if I were designing a car, I'd design it so that it's bad in clean air, quote unquote, out of your drafts. So that would make it easier to pass and promote more passing instead of having a close field. With that said, I don't know exactly the steps you do to get there, but that's what you want to aim toward. And I don't think NASCAR has done that at all with this next gen car. Um, is- that's a big issue. Just this fuel saving. You saw it at the end late. Cody Ware and Shane Van Gisbergen were trying to pass William Byron at the end. They just flat out couldn't. They were clearly faster, and just these cars are just so bad week in and week out. There's some tracks that are going to race worse than others. Iowa shouldn't be one of those tracks that races better because whenever I watched the Xfinity race there, I always thought, man, this is a cool track. I'd like NASCAR Cup Series to go there. And then I was really hyped when I saw it the first year, and I liked the race. I didn't really love the race, but it's just I, this year there's just been so many lackluster races that you say on dates you would normally have circled on the calendar just because this car is just so bad. And another thing is that it's underpowered. Like Arca was the fastest, I believe, car on at the racing this weekend or last weekend. With they had Xfinity there as well, and Cole Pern, former crew chief, he said that the best quality of racing is ARCA. It also happens to be the fastest cars. I wonder if there's any correlation there. I think there might be. So NASCAR ought to improve add more horsepower because they've taken way too much out of these cars. Everyone said it. I've been saying it now. In the past, I've been saying, oh, maybe it's not that. But now over this past few months, I've been saying NASCAR now, they've tried everything else. Nothing's clearly worked. They need to add more horsepower to these cars. And but the why NASCAR has been so stubborn is they wanted to make a car that was good everywhere with one setting, and that clearly doesn't work. You have to run different things to have good races. Like you can either A, cut costs and have a terrible product, and that's going to drive fans away, or have a good product that's going to bring fans in. Right now, they're cutting costs instead of spending a little bit more money, which is it's frustrating for me, man. It's like I just don't like NASCAR is doing a lot of good right now and a lot of other things. Car just isn't one of them. This car has just been so horrific. On I like they've tried running two different tire compounds last year, and I think this year too. If you had asked me if that's possible 5 years ago, I would have said, "There's no way in heck NASCAR's ever going to try a gimmick like that." And now I'm sitting like here 5 years later, just comprehending that NASCAR's had to try so many different things besides really make have the packages be different. And at the end of the day, they say they're going to add horsepower, but are they going to add enough horsepower? I don't know. I don't know what the right amount is, too. There's just so many variables, like to make a good car, and NASCAR is just sitting on their hands at this point. So I think that's all I have to really say about that, Zach. So I'm gonna turn it over to you to talk about Hungary.
Yeah, and before I get into Hungary, I think you were saying a ton of good stuff. I mean, adding horsepower is just a no-brainer. I mean, if you're worried about the cars being too quick, I mean, that's the entire reason why we have a restrictor plate, you know? And
Yeah.
also things with setups. I mean, of course, just logically, even if you ask someone who has never watched a motorsport race in their entire life, just by looking at the track maps, they can tell you you cannot bring the same car to Talladega that you bring to Martinsville. Um, so a car that's designed to be good everywhere is going to be terrible everywhere because the car and the tracks are just built so differently and the strategy is just so different. And um, I've actually been thinking a lot about this, and I think there's a simple solution to fix the short tracks. Just increase the durability and just take a page out of Ross Chastain's book and just ride the walls. I mean, at this point, it'll be more interesting than the racing we're getting. Um,
I I do want to add one more thing, Zach, on my rant that I forgot to kind of talk about is that also these cars are just I don't know what the right word for it is, but they're easy to drive until like you step over the line and then they just spin out on you. They're not like NASCAR when they designed this car, they wanted a car that's hard to drive. And what they wound up designing is a car that's easy to drive as long as you don't step over the line. Which I don't know, like I don't know what the processes going into this are, but the result is that it kind of just it doesn't put on a satisfying product when you see guys in full control of their cars pretty much all the time because by this point they have and I think it's now that we're in the third I think third year in this car. NASCAR these guys have figured it out. We might be in the fourth year of this car, but that's besides the point. They figured it out by now. You don't see the self spins that you used to from just overstepping the boundary. You do see that from time to time, but that's rare. So back over to you, Zach.
yeah. So, uh, F1 was in a kind of similar boat to NASCAR this week where there was a lot of interesting things about to happen, but nothing really did. Um, other than And the only interesting things really came from people falling short of the potential that they showed as opposed to people rising to the occasion. Um, Most notably Charles Leclerc and that Ferrari, because Charles put it on pole. He was looking really comfortable, really confident in that car. And for the past 2 years, the person on pole has lost the lead going into turn one in Hungary, and Charles actually kept it. He was able to keep the McLarens behind him at bay and was able to beat him on a raw pace. But in typical Ferrari fashion, they did not listen to him, put him on the wrong tire, put him on the wrong strategy, and he ends up finishing off of the podium, uh, which is just really unfortunate to see. Uh, and also not exactly how I'd imagine McLaren wanted to get their 200th win as a team. Uh, Using that as a segue, McLaren got their 200th win as a team this this past weekend, and I would have called it continued McLaren dominance because whilst it kind of is, Charles was the only one that could really compete with him, and his own team screwed him over as opposed to the McLarens beating the Ferrari on pace. Um, and it almost didn't matter anyway because towards the end, Oscar Piastri trying to get the win away from Lando Norris almost went into the back of him, took them both out of the race because he locked up going into turn one on the second to last lap, I believe. Um, and because of his inability to get past him, that was a 16-point swing in favor of Lando Norris. Uh, so instead of Piastri being ahead, I believe 24 points going into the summer break, he's only ahead by like 8. So I'll be really interested to see how that plays out because obviously everyone thought, oh, the McLaren's going to be good. We have a we have a Lando Norris World Championship coming in, and nobody really saw Piastri coming. I mean, he's been touted as a prodigy since the start of his career, but I mean,
I'm gonna
maybe.
interrupt you real quick here, Zach.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know this, but I did pick. Ethan and I had a show of who was going to win. We predicted the whole F1 grid on first to 20th. I think it might have been 21st because we all knew Franco Colapinto was going to replace Jack Doohan at the start of the year. But although I did predict Max Verstappen to win the title, I did say Oscar was going to beat Lando this year. So
Mm,
I know Ethan is a Lando fan. So and he
yeah.
he and he's like, "You're rage baiting." I'm like, "No, I'm serious."
Yeah, and I think it is really interesting to see the fact that Piastri's in his second, third year, and he's putting s- just an incredible amount of pressure on Norris, who's been in that car for half a decade now. Um, so I guess I'm just so used to watching sports and seeing people that are touted to be the next generational talent fall flat on their face. Outputs. Um, that I'm just really surprised to see someone be marketed that way and actually live up to that and be challenging for a world championship within 3 years. Um, that yeah, I'm just really excited to as a McLaren fan, I'm really excited to see how this plays out, and I can promise that this championship fight is going to lead to the McLarens wrecking at least once, if not multiple times, just battling with each other. And I'll get off of McLaren for now. Um, Going back to Charles Leclerc, despite the strategic miscalculations on Ferrari's part, Charles was still able to get fourth place, which leaves the question to be asked, what is Lewis Hamilton doing? You know, Charles had the capability to get on the podium, if not win this race on pure pace, because the Ferrari was just that good this weekend. And despite not really having any strategy problems, Lewis Hamilton got 12th. Didn't even finish in the points while his teammate was out there almost winning the race. So I understand that there's adjustments that need to be made going into a new team, especially a team like Ferrari that is basically owned and run by Charles Leclerc. Um, but this is Lewis Hamilton, seven-time world championship winner, and you should expect that someone that's been around for 20 years or so would be able to figure out a car by the mid-season point. Um, so I think that Hamilton either has to get up to speed with his Ferrari really quickly, or this move is going to end up being something that may stain his career if he just gets outshone by his teammate repeatedly. And I understand it is Charles Leclerc, but um, moving on, I think that this race, along with just watching the past couple of races, I think it's just incredible to see the magic touch, quite literally, that Adrian Newey has, because the Aston Martins finished fifth and seventh. Um, both of them beating Max Verstappen and Kimi Antonelli and Lewis Hamilton. Um, uh, and we'll talk about Max and Kimi in a bit, but just yeah, I mean, I certainly didn't expect the Aston to be good this year at all, like even close. I expected Adrian Newey to bring out some witchcraft, sorry, um, for the 26 regulations, but the fact that they're they've just turned it around, just following a really poor performance in Belgium is just really kind of fascinating. Maybe they're just good on the slower courses now, but I think they are just getting a better car. Um, and talking about the Verstappen, which they beat, Verstappen finished ninth, which is just going from bad to worse for Max Verstappen. I mean, not for the first time. He's already, you might as well rename Red Bull Racing to Max Verstappen Racing because that second seat is just cursed. Doesn't matter who you put in there, it's just not going to work. And I think that is a fault of the car and not the drivers, because obviously they've had some really, really good drivers be in that seat from, Alex Albon and Daniel Ricciardo and drivers that we know that are really good, but just cannot handle the teammate killer that is Max Verstappen. But yeah, whilst the Red Bull car is no longer the fastest car on the grid, the strategy blunder that Red Bull made did not help him. Pitting early, anticipating the whole field to do the same, and just putting him into a bunch of lap traffic that Verstappen just couldn't really recover from. Um, yeah. Um, Also, I want to talk about in the same way that Aston Martin has seen a meteoric rise to the top. I can say the same thing about Kick Sauber, which I don't think any person in the world thought that Kick Sauber was gonna get, I mean, even 10 points this season. Everyone expected them to do what they've been doing for the past, I don't even know how long, and just continue to be horrible. Um, but I really don't know how good that car is yet because, two races ago, Nico Hulkenberg broke his no podium streak and put it in third place. And then this race, he finished 13th and a lap down. So I just don't know how good the car is. Is it a good car that can genuinely compete in the midfield, or is it just a perfect storm of things that are making individual driver performances just stand out? Like how much of it is the driver and performance and situation, and how much of it is the car? Um, yeah. Uh, One of the last things that I'll really touch on is I really was hoping that I was going to get to see a record broken uh, this weekend, and that, of course, is referring to the record that Mr. Oliver Behrman is now tied for, which is the most consecutive finishes in a single position outside of first. Um, and all he had to do was finish in 11th place, and he would have been the sole record holder. And he did not finish the race at all. So when you're trying to break a record, not making it to the checkered flag is a really bad way to do that.
Unless the record is most consecutive races crashed or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the record for like highest DNF percentage is ever going to be broken because, there's an uncountable amount of F1 drivers that signed up for one race, put it in the wall turn one, and then never raced again. Um, but yeah, we'll see if he can do it because, I mean, consistency in Formula One has gotten better and better and better, but finishing in one position exactly like 5 races in a row is not exactly an easy feat.
Yeah.
And I don't think that um I think the best case the best chance that we have of anyone doing that is Lance Stroll just wrecking 5 times in a row, getting 20th every race. Uh yeah. The last thing I'll say is just going back to the McLarens, not once but twice they tied themselves for the fastest pit stop of the season thus far, with Lando Norris on lap 32 and Oscar Piastri on lap 46, both of those pit stops taking a blazing 1.94 seconds. Um, I think it's really interesting going from being a NASCAR fan to being an F1 fan, seeing pit stops go from, 16 to 20 seconds to now being two, and a 5 second pit stop being like egregiously slow. Yeah, they're like I said, this is just me kind of pulling stuff out of a hat. There wasn't a whole ton going on this weekend at Hungary, but that's what I got.
You want to give a number on the race out of 10, Zach, for
Um,
the few viewers that we do have?
I'll give it a I'll give it a 6.
6 out of
While
10.
while there wasn't much action going on, there was at least some things to keep me from falling asleep. Um, I am by no means a morning person, and any race that can keep me awake for the hour and a half that it runs is a good race, at least somewhat. No, there
Mhm.
have been multiple times where I just got a bad night's sleep and the race was so boring that I literally fell asleep in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And this this at least kept me awake, so it can't be that bad.
Yeah, before we get into news, you're very similar to our normal co-host Ethan. For those who are only watching this episode or just decided to skip to whatever time this is in the episode, both of you are not morning people and I know both of you have fallen asleep during a morning race or two or however many. Both of you were NASCAR fans before moving to taking a break and then getting into F1. I know Ethan got into F1 through Drive to Survive. I don't know if did you get into F1 through Drive to Survive, Zach?
I know, I mean, as weird as it may sound, and it still shocked me that the existence of this class is even a thing, but I did take a thing called sports and entertainment marketing in high school, and that's when I mean, Drive to Survive is one of the best piece of sports marketing that we've ever seen. So I think that's where I might have started to hear about F1 and start thinking about it. Um, but I had already kind of been in the world of motorsport and like had been a motorsport fan in the past, as you and I have both said now. Um, but no, I don't think I've even made it through like season 2 of Drive to Survive. Like I'm way behind on it.
I beats my 0 episodes watched, not because
It's
I don't dislike Formula One or am jealous or anything like that. It's because I don't have Netflix. So
I mean, fair enough. Uh, I wouldn't have seen a single episode if my parents weren't paying for Netflix. Um, I mean, I would have either had to buy my own subscription or uh, found a friend that had one.
that's fair.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think the first couple of seasons are interesting to me because I didn't actually watch those seasons. I wasn't a fan of it at that point in time. So the drama that they're building up is real to me because I don't know what happens. I didn't watch it. But I think as we go on, and I'm watching Drive to Survive create storylines out of thin air for seasons that I was watching, that it's just going to get more boring. I
Hmm.
mean, that's my personal opinion. You know, I don't know until I've tried it, and that's obviously not going to be the case for everyone who watches a show like that. But as someone who is actually a marketing major now in college, um, I think it's really interesting to see the impact that Drive to Survive has had on the sport, especially here in the States. You know, Formula One was relatively unheard of about 10 years ago, and now it's just exploded.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, now you have things like the quarterback series and Full Swing and other sports creating their own versions of Drive to Survive because of just the immense success that Drive to Survive has seen. So I think from a marketing mind and a marketing standpoint, it's really interesting to see the effects of that show
Hmm.
on the sports world, uh, despite me not really taking an interest in the show itself.
Yeah. But I don't know if I mentioned it before, but yeah, you're both McLaren fans too. Uh, are,
I will say key difference. Uh, I am a I'm not going to say I'm a professional Lando Norris hater, but I am absolutely 100% Team Oscar Piastri. So
so yeah, not exactly the same person, but similar, uh, similar viewpoints throughout the course of just everything. So that's why I thought you'd be a good replacement for Ethan on this one off here. Anyway,
yeah,
into
I'm
the
coming
news.
for your job, Ethan.
Yeah. Uh, Transfer to ASU, and then we'll have some good stuff when if you were to come to the Bill Austin radio studio. Anyway, into the news.
And now for the news.
I normally don't talk lower series for NASCAR, but this is a story that kind of just baffled me in a few different ways. So, Caden Honeycutt, currently right now, is with Nice Motorsports. He drove a bunch of races last year for the team in a part-time deal. Back at it again this year. Uh, really solid driver. Right now in the standings, sixth. Definitely in the going to make the playoffs. That's for sure. Uh, Passed, drove for Nice uh, as well as Roper Racing, G to G Racing on point. Shown a lot of promise, but this has been his first full season. Um, as I said, running sixth right now. Nice Motorsports, that's the highest that they've had their one of their cars in a long time. I think if ever, because I not ever. In 2023 with Carson Hocevar, they were third, fourth, fourth in the standings with him as a driver. I think that's really the only time that they've other. And then you have a second with Ross Chastain that one year, 2019. Other than that, they haven't had any top 10 results. So with Caden Honeycutt being top 10, this is a guy that you'd want to hold on to in theory. But there was news Monday morning that dropped that they said we're releasing Caden Honeycutt because he's going to a different manufacturer next year. I'm like, whoa, that's surprising. because one, no one expected him to go to a different manufacturer next year, and two is he's doing so well for you. Why are you dropping him mid-season? It's a surprise, a shock. We were all shocked, but uh, Honeycutt will be racing the rest of the year. Going to drive for Young's Motorsports this weekend at Watkins Glen before moving to Halmar Friesen, racing the number 52 truck. For the rest of the year, Stuart Friesen, he's out. Going to be out for the rest of the year. He sustained a huge injury doing some late model racing. Prayers up to the Friesen family. Just a horrific accident he suffered in Canada, his home country. So, hey, for Hallmark Friesen Racing, great move. You get someone in the truck who's doing well, is able to wheel a race car. We've seen that in the past, and now that we quite frankly, we know this guy's good, and that's good for the team to have a good shot to sustained success. With that being said, I don't know if it's Nice or Chevrolet that decided to pull the trigger on dumping Honeycutt, but regardless whose decision that was, I think that's a bad decision because for the rest of the season, you are going to have, I believe, you have Connor Zilichen for this Xfinity or truck race at Watkins Glen, who is going to be one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win the race, and then Bailey Curry for the rest of the final 8 races. Now, this is no disrespect to Bailey Curry whatsoever. He's a good wheelman. We've known this before. He's managed to get top tens in Harman and JD Motorsports Equipment and Xfinity Series, and then in Nice trucks in the past, he's had a handful top fives, top tens as well. Very solid driver. Um, but he's not Caden Honeycutt. He's a few steps down from Honeycutt, and that's just a mistake by Nice because they might have had a shot to win the truck championship with Honeycutt. Honeycutt is a short track guy. That's what he does best. And getting rid of him, it looks bad for you now and bad for you later because, okay, if I'm an up and coming driver, I cannot ride with Nice or a team of a second of around its caliber. I'm going to go to the other team because if I were to sign somewhere else, they're not going to like it and drop me mid-year. That's not good for my career. So this doesn't look good for Nice or Chevy or whoever decided to do it. Just doesn't look good. Good for Honeycutt. He's able to find a ride, keep going. I think that will be interesting to see how he can do in the 52 truck compared to Friesen. He's rumored to go to the 11 team to replace Corey Heim next year, which, if that's true, who knows where Corey Heim's going to go? I've said it before ad nauseum. He's deserving of a cup ride. He's dominated the truck series for, I don't know, ever since he got there, which was 3-4 years ago at this point. So I don't know why he's still in trucks. Hopefully he gets the full-time cup car. That's what I'd like to see. Maybe an Xfinity car might do him a little bit of good, but I don't know at this point. So yeah. And then Zach, this is a rubber chicken. I give this chicken award to someone or something who does something extremely stupid in the uh, world of racing. I squeeze it, which I'm about to now. Um, so the Department of Homeland Security decided to put out a picture of an Indy car that had ice on it, but not the drinking ice, which from water, but the controversial Border Patrol agency. And on the Indy car, they had the number 5 on it. Driver in the number 5 in IndyCar, Zach, is Pato O'Ward, who is Mexican. I don't know who signed off on that in the Homeland Security Department, but it is just a buffoonery of idiots. I don't like this at all. I don't like I don't like to mix politics and sports. They are meant to stay in their own lanes. I don't want crossover there. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat or independent or whatever. Politics and sports, in my opinion, is not a good thing. And you have a known controversial thing. Whether you like it or not, this is not the Homeland Security doing this is not a good thing. I hope this is the chicken award goes to them. Squeeze it. I don't know if the Zoom actually picks it up, but but I'm trying to talk as I squeak, so maybe it comes, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. So for me, at this point, this is really not a non-story, but I hope IndyCar comes out and says, yeah, you shouldn't have used our car because the picture that you can, if you were to search it up, is an IndyCar. It's very clearly an IndyCar with a narrow screen. Pretty much, if you were to, like, that looks to me exactly like an IndyCar. And I mean exact, like whatever AI model they used, they did a good job to make an IndyCar. But it's like, ugh. As an IndyCar fan who has seen the lack of marketing from the series, which has been frustrating, this is going to be the most marketing thing that they get all year, and it's probably going to turn people off from IndyCar. So it's just frustrating to see it. It's not going to go on about this anymore. But moving into the previews.
And now for next week's race previews.
Portland, for IndyCar, I give you my 5 drivers to watch out for this weekend. Not many races historically at Portland, so not a lot of data to go off of. Will Power, he's won there twice, same as Alex Palou. Scott McLaughlin's the only other winner who's won it in the IndyCar series at Portland. He's won once, so I'm going to fill out the rest of the drivers with the Indy next winners. Pato O'Ward won there twice. Kyle Kirkwood won there once. Now into my honorable mentions. Rinus VK, David Malukas, and Louis Foster each won there once in their Indy next career that I think you should watch out for. I'm introducing a new segment this week. It's called The Data. I had, in the past of me rating races, I've collected data with averages of what the races there have been. With, I think, going back to last year, pretty much every race for the IndyCar and NASCAR series. There's a few races missing, but for whatever reason, I didn't put in the doc that week. So data's not going to be fully complete, but just I'm gonna update that with each race. So I can say, oh, this is historically good track, historically bad track, historically mid track, whatever. But so the one race that we do have there was a 4, so I'm not expecting the best race. Possibly a lot of chaos in turn 1 on lap 1. We've seen that there in the past, but that's not always a guarantee. The Indy next road drivers changing in the 24 for HMD is Nicholas Montero, I think. Monteiro, Brazilian guy. And then in the 3 for HMD, not HMD, Andretti Cape Indy next is Michael D'Orlando. That's his first. Both are these guys' first start of the year. Montero's never ran, and D'Orlando has made some starts in the past. Moving over to NASCAR, Watkins Glen, the 5. I give you AJ Allmendinger, Chase Elliott, he's on there twice. Kyle Larson on there twice. And then Chris Buescher. He's won there once, like Allmendinger. I'm adding Shane Van Gisbergen. I normally don't throw in a guy who's won 0 times at a racetrack where others have, and I'm leaving out of 5, but Shane Van Gisbergen, so good at road courses. I got to put him in there, I think. And honorable mentions, guys of William Byron won there once, Kyle Busch won there twice, actually. Just has been able to figure RCR out since Gateway, which was the summer of 23, June of 23 to be more precise. So he's just been a slump since then. Just hasn't done much. And Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin each won there once. The data of this race, last one race there is 8.5 for me. So I'm expecting a fairly good race. Cup Series rotational drivers or your open cars this week. Your truly open cars, not the lawsuit ones, which is we've covered here on the show plenty. JJ Yaley in the 44 for NY Racing. The 66 is Josh Bilicki for Garage 66 MBM. Catherine Legg in the Live Fast 78, and Connor Zilich in the Trackhouse 87. Xfinity Series, SS Greenlight, their 2 cars this week are Preston Parson, the 07, Garrett Smithley in the 14. The 9 for Junior Motorsports is Shane Van Gisbergen. I'm actually going to, seeing that now, I'm going to make a pick change here because I didn't realize that. So, that being said, moving over to after that, Michael McDowell is going to be in 11 for Colleague this week. 19 will be Riley Herbst. 21 is regular Austin Hill returning from his suspension for Richard Childress. Kaz Grell in the second Sam Hunt car, the 24. Austin Green, the solid road course guy, in the 32 for Jordan Anderson. The Joey Gase cars are going to be 35 is Glenn Reen. And then the 53 is going to be Austin J. Hill. 2 different Austin Hills racing. That's the second time this season we said that. 45 for Alpha Prime, Stephen Parsons. 70 for Copus Thomas Annunziata. And then 91 for DGM with JIM is Josh Bilicki. And finally, Truck Series, William Sawalich in the number 1 Tricon truck. We had this confirmed in the show earlier. 02 for Youngs is Caden Honeycutt. William Lambros and Gian Buffamonte are going to be in the 2 and 22 Riom Brothers trucks. Kyle Busch and Sammy Smith will be in the Spire 07 and 7 trucks, respectively. Ross Chastain is going to be in the 44, and Connor Zilich will be in the 45 for Nice Motorsports. Christopher Bell will be in the 52, and 62 will be Wesley Slimp for Hamar Friesen Racing. 66 for Thor Sport is going to be Chris Buescher this week. First Truck Series start for him. So that's kind of surprising anecdote. 69 for Garage 66 MVM is going to be Derek White. 70 for his own team is going to be Brent Cruz. And the 75 for Henderson Motorsports is going to be Parker Kligerman. So finally, it's time for pick points.
And now for next week's race picks.
Ethan, he still leads after he took 7 last week. 3 for me, but the guest last week was Zach. You got 14 points. So how about that?
I'm just built different. I'm simply the best.
Simply the best, he says. Ethan still leads, as I said, 235, expanding his lead over me to 218. Guests draw closer to 192. Looking at it, all of the numbers here, that puts the me now 17 back, guests 43 back. Right now, kind of both. Ethan's still with the lead. He's led every race this year. I'm trying to kind of cut into that to end that. And with the picks this week, that's not going to be possible for me to overtake him, but I can draw closer. Um, I'm gonna say Ethan's picks because he did put him into the sheet, and then Zach, I'll let you say your picks as well. Um, Ethan went Dennis Hauger, championship leader, very good racer. I'm actually gonna go the same route as I originally had Dennis Hauger, and then I saw we Ethan and I had the same picks this weekend. So I changed to Kyle Collette. Now I'm going to change it back to Dennis Hauger. Just a good race car driver. Kyle Collette it does have a lot of momentum, winning both races at Laguna Seca last week. But yeah, that's that. Zach, do you want to announce your pick for Indy next at Portland?
Um, yeah, so as kind of established, I actually am currently in the midst of expanding my horizons, and I'm not super well versed in other series, but I'm going with Miles Rowe for Indy Next. Um, as you may have been able to sniff out from some of my previous picks, I do kind of like to go out on a limb with some of them, and uh, I think that whilst he may not be, he's not Dennis Hauger by any stretch of the imagination. I do think that there is the outside chance that he's able uh to pull out a win here and compete with the Andretti's. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving into the next, the main race for IndyCar, the actual IndyCar. Ethan I go now. It's Blow. He's just been on pretty much unstoppable this year. No way to really code it. It's just the way it is. Walter Cronkite once said. Zach?
Yeah. Um I mean, you're right. Looking at the data, it's indisputable that Alex Palou has been far and away the best driver for IndyCar this year. However, I'm not going to be going with Alex Palou. I'm going to be going with Pato O'Ward. Um, Currently second place in the Drivers' Championship. And that's for a couple of reasons. One, because I think that, uh, well, first of all, I just believe in the quality of Pato as a driver. Second of all, um, he's a number five. He's a number five car. That's my lucky number. I have to support him in addition to him being a McLaren driver. Um, and thirdly, I think that there's a possibility that seeing that ice car posted by
Homeland Security.
extra fuel and give him that boost that he needs to beat Alex Palou.
Yeah. Uh, Looking at the um, moving over to the Truck Series, Ethan and I both going Connor Zilic here. Zilic is a noted road racer in his time. I don't know if Connor Zilic has won in the uh, Truck Series as a yet. Um, Regardless, it's hinted at getting the Cup ride at Trackhouse, or expected that might be announced this weekend. Actually, hasn't won in the Truck Series. I did pick him on his debut race when he. So I've been on the Zillage bandwagon for a while, and I'm gonna stay on that bandwagon. Just really, really good road racer. We'll see how he does this week. Ethan going the same way.
Yeah,
Zach?
and then uh for me, I think that for the for the truck championship, I have to I'm gonna go with Corey Heim. I mean, he's leading the truck series in points right now, and I think that despite the fact that we are going to be going to the Glen, which anything can happen at the Glen if we're being completely honest. Um, but I still think that uh, the consistency that's gotten Heim to the top of the table at the moment is going to be enough to keep him there and allow him to take the top step at the podium at the Glen.
Yeah, Ethan, he's staying with Connor Zilic right in the Xfinity Series race. I changed my pick last minute to SVG Shane Van Gisbergen himself. Just dude is so dominant in the Cup Series. He's going down in the Xfinity Series. Uh, yeah, you can say Connor Zilic has a good chance to win against him. When the two have squared off this year, they've been 1-2 in both of the two races that they've gone and they've ran, if I'm not mistaken, with Zilic winning at Sonoma, Shane winning at not Mexico City, Chicago. Regardless, I think they're those are two guys that are gonna likely run 1-2 and not run 1-2, but we'll see. Uh, Again, Ethan going Connor Zilic. I'm going to go Shane Van Gisbergen. What are you going to do, Zach?
I mean, I think that whilst, like I mentioned before, anything can happen at the Glen, I do think that you just have to go with Zilic here. I mean, as we've stated, he's a really good road course driver. He's leading the championship. I don't see how um, things can go too poorly for Zilic. And as I say that, he's going to get 21st, but we don't talk about that right now.
Yeah, we've talked about that top five streak since his injury. Four wins, 3 seconds, two fourths, and a fifth. And you look at the fifth, you at Mexico City. That's a race that you thought he was going to win, but he got caught up in a few other guys' messes and didn't win that one. But yeah, he's just been on a heater week after week after week after week in these last 10 now Xfinity Series races. Uh, had that many top tens. If you look at his previous career going into it, he had uh, a total of, doing some math right now, so 15 starts in his career. He only had six top tens, four of them being top fives, and two wins. And now in the stretch, he's had 10 top tens, 10 top fives, four wins. Just kind of tell you how well he's done. And quite frankly, he deserves that uh, seat that he's going to get. We don't know when he's going to be announced, but Cup Series, Ethan and I going on the same way again. I think you're going to be joining us, Zach, if I'm not mistaken. Shane Van Gisbergen, I mean, just been so good on the road courses this year. Only one he did not win was Circuit of the Americas, and that's just it tracks it up for some just chaos as it is. So yeah, just Shane, he's been so good. There's no reason to not pick him right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you. Um, Shane, over the past couple of races, hasn't been doing too hot in comparison to some of his counterparts, but uh, the last time that he placed relatively well was 4 races ago at Sonoma, where he won. I think that even though he hasn't been doing too terrible well at, Iowa, Indy, or Dover, uh, I think that Watkins Glen is a perfect time for him to bounce back and show us just how good he is, has been, and can be on the road courses.
Yep. So that's gonna do it for us on this edition of the Loose Wheel Show, episode 31, season 3. Zach, thank you for coming on. But first, before we go, where can the people find you on the internet if you want people to find you on the internet?
Well, I have an Instagram. I'm sure if you just look at my name, Zach Simmons, you'll be able to find me. My profile photo is a photo of me covered in like colored powder. Um, I also have a YouTube channel under the name Spudnik55. It's a relatively dead YouTube channel where I just play video games, but yeah, feel free to check it out if you want. If not, that's completely fine. Yeah.
All right. So again, thank you for coming on super last minute. So that is it for the episode. Goodbye, everyone.
To me, it looked like he actually lost the wheel.
The wheel for Ross Chastain is still and perfect.
Wheel on the track.
Did you leave the wheel loose?
You picked the fine time to leave me loose, wheel.